In today's video, what I'm going to be doing here is showing you how to format, configure, and install Windows 98 for any computer that can support Windows 98. But if you're doing this with an actual computer, you'll need the right drivers and the hardware that's going to be able to support Windows 98. You just can't use any type of hardware that you're unsure that's not going to use Windows 98. So you can even do this with a virtual machine to run old programs or experiment around with or use it for games. Here are some things you're going to need to install Windows 98. You're going to need a product key of your own. You're going to need either the three types of installation media, either on an ISO image, CD-ROM, or on floppy disk. But if your Windows 98 copy isn't bootable, you're going to also need a boot disk. But if you don't have one, you can actually make a boot disk using a USB floppy disk drive. But to get a Windows 98 bootable disk, you're going to need to go to allbootdisk.com. Just give me a little second, we'll type that in. So I'm not going to download one because I already have my Windows 98 copy is already bootable. So this is for those who don't have a copy of Windows 98 that isn't bootable. So we're going to go to download boot disk, and you want to go to boot disk images. They have one for 98 first edition and Windows 98 second edition. So I'm going to go ahead and click on out of here because I'm not going to download none because I already have a bootable Windows 98 CD-ROM. So if you're doing this with floppies, it's going to take longer than usual. But if you're doing Windows 98 on a virtual machine, I recommend using VMware because VMware has the right tools to support any Windows 9X based operating system. So let's begin. You want to make sure your BIOS in the virtual machine is configured to be bootable on the CD-ROM first. So we're going to go ahead and begin Windows 98. We're going to go ahead and choose boot from CD-ROM. We're going to go ahead and start Windows computer without CD-ROM support. We're going to go ahead and type fdisk. And it's going to ask us if we want to enable large disk support. We're going to go ahead and hit enter. If you already have a partition on here, you can just go to the delete partition method and delete whatever partition's on here. But if you're not sure what's on your hard drive, you can just press 4. I've already created a partition, but if you want to delete that partition, you can just hit 3, press enter, and we're going to delete the primary DOS partition. But if you have like an NT based operating system like Windows NT 4.0, Windows 2000, Windows XP, you can just delete a non-DOS partition off that hard drive. So we got a primary DOS partition, so we're going to go ahead and hit enter. You can give it a volume label if you like, but we're not going to do that. And we're going to hit yes. And we're going to go ahead and create a DOS partition, of course, and we're going to do a primary DOS partition. And yes, we're going to enable the maximum size so let me go ahead and reboot. We're going to go ahead and boot from CD-ROM. Then we're going to do start computer with CD-ROM support. This is where we're going to show you how to format. So what we're going to do is we're going to type D colon CD Win98 format C colon and we're going to hit yes. So it's going to erase the entire hard drive, or the virtual hard drive if you're doing a virtual machine. And plus, we're not going to do no volume label. It's not like we're naming it. And I'm going to show you a little method that can be very useful when you need something that's going to require a Windows 98 disk when you install certain drivers or components. What I'm going to be doing is we're going to type C. I'm going to go C:\md Windows. We'll go CD Windows MD options. We're going to type CD options. We're going to make a directory called cabs. We'll go CD cabs. Verify our cabs directory is created. So we're going to go ahead and do back to the Windows 98 disk. What we're going to do is copy *.* C:/Windows/options/cabs. What it's doing is going to copy all the installation files to the cabs folder that we've created. To verify that, we're going to go ahead and do C:. It's already at the Windows cabs directory. To verify the files are in the directory, we're going to do a dir. So what we're going to do is hit setup. But if you want to skip scan disk, you can do /is. And there we are into Windows 98 setup. Because you should get this welcome message. We're going to hit continue. What we're going to do is we're going to correct something here so Windows can work properly. We're going to do other directory. We're going to take the .000. It's going to let you know that the directory already exists. And so we're going to hit yes. Continue with this specified directory, of course. What we're going to do is we're going to do a typical install. If this is your first time installing Windows 98, you want to stick with the most common default components. But if you're an advanced user, you can go to show me a list of components that you can choose. But like I said, if this is your first time, you want to go with install the most common components, which is the default components. But if you want to determine if you want more, once you get more familiar with the operating system, I'm going to show you how to get to the components again on the Windows Setup tab in Add Remove Programs. So this is what you get if you choose the list of components, which will give you accessibility tools and other accessibility options. But if you click where it's shaded gray, if it has a full white checkbox, it means that you have all the components. If you double click or click on details, you can determine what components. So we're going to do briefcase, we're going to add wallpapers, games, mouse pointers, quick view, and we're going to add the additional screensaver. So we'll click OK on that. So that's everything on accessories. And we're going to add desktop themes and multi-language support. I don't really care. This is a virtual machine. And we're going to have everything in multimedia. So we'll be able to have the sound schemes and sample MIDI files to experiment around with. Since it's not like it's going to be on the internet, we're going to go ahead and take out online services and Outlook Express, including address book. We're going to add system tools such as clipboard viewer, character map, system monitor, group policy, and the system resource meter. And backup for and we'll probably do NetWatcher. And we're going to do internet connection sharing. I'm going to show you what it's like once you how to get to these on later on. If you can't get to them on the first install, or if you're familiar with it and you want to get back to it later. So we're going to click next. You want to give it a specific name. We're going to type this one, Win98VM. And put in the specific network that you're going to be using. What we're going to do is give it a description for demonstration purposes. And you want to select whatever location we're going to be using Windows 98 in. It's going to ask you for a startup disk, so we're going to click cancel on that. And I'll be right back once Windows 98 gets done copying files. And I'll see you in the next clip. Alright, since it's done copying files, we're going to go ahead and reboot. I'm going to do boot from hard disk because, of course. So now we're back at the entering our user information. Go ahead and enter a name and organization if you prefer. Go ahead and accept the license agreement if you're comfortable with the license agreement, of course. Go ahead and enter your product key, and I'll be right back once I get done entering this product key. After you enter your product key, you should get this little prompt. Then we're going to go ahead and click finish. So it's going to take it's time to install the hardware. And yes, this right here is actually a clean install of Windows 98 that you are watching. You should get this prompt on here. So what we're going to do is we're going to select our time zone, of course, and make sure the date and time is correctly adjusted to your standards. Yeah, that was just a little accident, of course, so we're going to go ahead and fix that. And just click OK. It's going to configure everything while it finishes the rest of setup. So we can go ahead and reboot. And just boot from the hard disk if your Windows 98 disk is still in there. And you should get this login prompt, which is a good sign. You can enter a password if you like. So what I'm going to be doing is entering a password. But if you don't get the Microsoft Network, you can still enter a password on the default login prompt, or you can do, if you don't enter a password, you don't have to worry about just seeing this when you boot up Windows 98. And I'm going to confirm the new password, even though this is a fresh, clean install of Windows 98. It is going to detect a few drivers, default drivers here and there. So here it is. This is a fresh installation of Windows 98 2nd edition. And I'm just going to leave this open just to verify the video and sound drivers work in the video. So first order of business, what we're going to be doing is installing VMware tools. But first order of business, let's disconnect our Windows 98 disk and override the lock so we can do our VMware tools. So what we're going to be doing is a typical install. So therefore everything's working like it should. And we're going to do, to verify it works, even before we restart, we're going to copy the sound driver. Once I be right back before we do a full reboot, and just hang tight. Alright, I verified the drag and drop functionalities work in VMware, so we're not going to restart right now. But you're going to need these Creative Sound Blaster 128 driver and the EAPCI 8m.ecw. We're going to copy that file over to our Windows system into our little system folder. By simply dragging and drop. So the first order of business is we're going to go ahead and properly install the Creative Sound Blaster 128 driver that VMware uses for Windows 98. Alright, since this is a third attempt, we're going to try the web driver. So therefore, it seemed like I had a bad installer, which ended up crashing my virtual machine. And yes, this is a clean install of Windows 98. So it's picking up all the drivers. And you should see that little volume icon. Then we're going to go ahead and reboot the computer. Here's the moment of truth where we're going to be able to hear the beautiful Windows 98 startup sound. Yep, the welcome to Windows 98 actually works like it should, so I'm going to do a little critiquing to this virtual machine to verify everything works like it should. Let's say before you do change the appearance, so we're going to go ahead and save this as Windows 98. So at least we'll have the gradient title bars. So if the default color scheme with the gradient title bars, if we want to change it back later on. And we're going to make sure to enable smooth edges of screen fonts and show window contents while dragging, so we can have the nice drag. And make sure that's enabled in True Color 32-bit. But yeah, like I forgot earlier, on how to get to those components. You want to go into Control Panel, go to Add Remove Programs. You want to click the Windows Setup tab. Let's say we're going to do communications, and we'll go to Details. We're going to do Hyper-Terminal, Microsoft Chat, Virtual Private Networking, and Dial-Up ATM supporting Dial-Up server, just for the heck of it. Like I said, it's a virtual machine, I don't really care. So I'll be right back once I get Windows 98 loaded with some programs for the next conclusion. Alright, I'm going to show you something real cool that you can do with Windows 98 if you want to expand Windows 98, since I saw one program so far. I'm going to go ahead and reboot, and I'm going to show you something cool. As you may notice, it says Windows 98 Plus. Is because I've installed the Plus pack, which will work for both Windows 98 and Windows 98 Second Edition. As you see, you got this little V-shield right here that's McAfee antivirus, which it comes with McAfee if you install that, but you can do a custom installation of what you want to install. It even gives you the deluxe CD player that comes with Windows 2000 and some additional games like the demo of 1998 Golf Light, or Golf 1998 Light, got my tongue twisted, but Illusion Marbles, Spider Solitaire, and it gives you some more desktop themes. So you basically get 18 additional themes, and it's basically a revised version of desktop themes, and an improved version of Disk Cleanup, Maintenance Wizard, and a 3D organic art screensaver, and Picture It. And I'm going to show you something cool with desktop themes. It actually gives you more custom backgrounds and custom sounds, and gives your Windows 98 machine a beautiful look. Like, let's say we're going to do Windows 98 High Color. Which gives you some unique sets of sounds and things of that nature. And you can always revert back to Windows 98 default. The only thing with Windows 98 default, you won't get the gradient title bars. But what I've did was I've saved the default color scheme that Windows 98 is set up with on default. As I just saved it as Windows 98. You can do either Windows Standard Gradient, so at least we'll have the default gradient title bars if you decide to go back to the default look. And let me go ahead and bundle up install some programs, and I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. After I got done installing some programs to show you how I'm going to have this Windows 98 virtual machine to be set up to experiment around with. But I recommend installing some Microsoft programs like Internet Explorer 6 Service Pack 1. But some websites still actually work, but I don't recommend using Internet Explorer on an old version of Windows because Internet Explorer got more security holes than Swiss cheese. So you get the picture. And actually Windows Media Player 9 is actually supported because I'm using Windows 98 Second Edition like I've mentioned. But if you're using First Edition, you can only go up to Windows Media Player 7.1. And of course we got Office 2000 installed, which you can actually upgrade to Office XP if you like. So basically you can actually install Office 97, Office 2000, or Office XP on Windows 98. Office 2003 and newer will not work. You get the whole picture. I installed some old versions of certain programs just to make Windows 98 a little bit usable in this virtual machine, just to experiment around with. So, hope you enjoy your your freshly installed Windows 98 build, or Windows 98 virtual machine, which I was trying to say. My tongue got twisted a few times, but like I said, enjoy your full set, clean install of Windows 98 on your computer or virtual machine. So I hope this video helped you guys out, and thanks for watching.